Are we ever ready? No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
We good to go? I think that means we're ready. Alrighty. Okay. On the count of three, two, one. Hey, insiders, we've got a very special guest joining us here today who has recently just graduated from our flagship course LMA, which is the Life Mastery Achievers. And she's so graciously going to be coming on here this morning to share her experience from start to finish and everything else in between. And I guess before we dive in, would you mind telling everybody what's your name and where you're currently based in the world?
I'm Carrie Pate, and I'm from Kansas, USA.
Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your commitment being on here nice and early this morning. And I guess before we dive in, speaking all things LMA, I'm just curious to know what inspired you to come on board this program? Like, what struggles or challenges would you say you were facing in your life before finding LMA?
Honestly, I had just left my husband in September. It was a very abusive marriage, no bruises, but everything else under the sun. And it left me feeling like I was less than the dirt under his feet and questioning everything about myself, whether I could even have a good thought that was legitimate. And so I was truly, truly struggling with figuring out how to even think. I know that sounds totally crazy, but everything about me was put into question. And one day I heard Tim, I believe it was on Facebook, and everything he said, it resonated with me because that's exactly how I used to think. And so I prayed and I asked God what to do because it was a big financial commitment. He said, I want you to do this. So I got permission from my church to leave for 6 weeks to attend the live lessons. And it was definitely exactly what I needed. So I am very grateful.
Wow. Well, thanks so much for sharing. Thanks so much for being so open and vulnerable and honest. And just bringing it back to before even stepping upon this journey, those challenges and struggles that you had been going through, Carrie, with an abusive marriage and those feelings of feeling stuck and not being able to think correctly. How is that affecting your life on a day-to-day basis?
The abusive part or LMA?
No, yeah, sorry, before coming on board LMA, how was all of those challenges of the abusive marriage, not being able to think correctly, not being fully happy and content within yourself? How was that affecting you as a person?
I was always in survival mode. The anxiety was nonstop. Um, it was actually, it felt like hell on earth, to be quite blunt, to not have that peace and the assurance that when I made a decision, it was the right one. And I was praying and I was doing what I believe God was leading me to do. And getting those results, I didn't have the peace and that confidence that I felt like he was like, walk in confidence. I'm like, I don't know what that looks like anymore. So it was awful. And LMA is definitely, I've been applying everything Tim has been saying to me, and I'm very excited about life. I have hope, and I'm actually enjoying life
Wow,
and
beautiful.
learning every day. So
Oh, love it. Before coming on board and before you stumbled upon that, or as you stumbled upon that video and then obviously led yourself onto LMA, was there ever a part of you that thought, could this be a scam? What am I getting myself into? Or how was that for you?
yeah, absolutely, yes. Anyway, he said he was world known. So yeah, I mean, it's not something I would have done before. I People are just so good at scamming people anymore. And like I just came out of a marriage where he acted like the angel and have the dagger behind his back. So that I'm sure that does make me a little extra cautious. But yes, I was wondering if he was really legitimate. And it was only my faith that God was telling me to take the jump that I actually did it, to be all honest.
Wow.
Because I was anxious even up to the day I turned the Zoom on. So,
Wow.
so
Wow.
yeah.
And obviously there was a financial commitment there as well to step forward on this journey as
Um,
well. Did that ever try to take you out of the game or hold you back from coming on board? And if so, how did you step forward in faith and make the decision to be?
um, it absolutely terrified me, honestly, because when I left my husband, I had some money in savings for those incidental things, and right off the bat, lost a transmission within the first 2 months, and all my savings was gone. And this winter I started doing DoorDash. That was a cliff jumping thing too. And but I just did it, and all the money has been there when I needed it. So, you know, it happened, and God provided. So,
Wonderful. And having gone through the LMA program now, and from where you had been to where you are now, it seems like you're in a totally different place in life, which is wonderful. What would you say surprised you the most or made you the most happiest about the LMA program?
actually, the biggest thing was the walking in integrity with yourself. Um, because I felt like I was always questioning myself and turned into that people pleaser, trying to make people happy or trying to show them I loved them. I wound up losing myself in the process.
Mhm.
And even that's affected my job, because I originally started the job for 3 days a week, and then it went into full time, and I realized I was never getting time to myself at the end of a day. It is really a stressful job, and very long. So I decided I was going to go down, I'm going to compromise. I didn't want to mess up the company, but I didn't want to go so low I can't provide or
Mhm.
give him the incentive to hire someone else. So I went down to 4 days a week on the road. And then that one day is a flex day for personal business or office work. And that has made the biggest difference in the world, because otherwise I was wanting to jump ship all the time. So, like, I hate my life.
Wow.
So, but I love the job and I love the people I get to meet everywhere I go. So it's
Beautiful.
wonderful. Yeah.
Wonderful. And having gone through the LMA program now yourself, and after knowing where you have been in recent times, what would you say is one of the biggest shifts that has taken place for you in your life? What's been one of the biggest changes or transformations that you've made personally that you notice within yourself now, having gone through LMA?
One of the things I thought was very helpful was embracing fear.
Okay.
um, to be anxious for nothing. And I was anxious all the time for decades. And so I was trying to get rid of the anxiety. And when you do that, it just got bigger and bigger and started to take control. And when he said embrace the fear, it actually works. It gets smaller. And then that it becomes something that you stand over rather than it controlling you. So, as crazy as that sounds, it really does work. And that has been a tremendous help for me in
Wow.
putting fear in its place.
Wow. And how would you summarize in your own words Tim as a teacher, facilitator, and trainer? What would you say about Tim?
He's very authentic, very genuine, and you can tell that he truly loves people and he really cares about you. And that means the world. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. And what's different for you now, having gone through LMA, but the teachings and the learnings and the lessons that you've acquired here on board LMA? What does Carrie's life look like now moving forward into the future?
Hopeful. Um, just he gave me the tools to help me to think with confidence and make decisions with confidence rather than second guessing myself. Um, I truly feel like I'm a different person than I was 7 weeks ago. So that ability to walk without second guessing every move is just amazing. It really is.
Wonderful. And to wrap it up here, to conclude for today, Carrie, what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about joining LMA and they're maybe sitting on the fence, or they want to change their life, but they haven't stepped forward in faith yet, but they've seen LMA, maybe they've been in a position like you. What advice would you bestow on to someone else now, having gone through the experience yourself and come out the other side? What would you say?
I would say definitely do it. I really do. I actually want to pass that as a gift to other people I know that need it in the future if I can do that. So absolutely do it. It's well worth your time.